All right. There was absolutely no slow transition or nothing to that. So, hey, what up? Here we are. Welcome, everyone, to the review of Season 2 Rules. As I'm responding to some of you in chat, yes, I am sorry. It is taking a little bit longer. I did want to get those out sooner. In fact, I was going to send them as soon as I got the addresses, but listen, I already spent a lot of money on it. I want to make sure I only send it once, so I'm still waiting on one more product, but it's coming. Okay, don't worry, you guys will get it. I should also give me 1 second because this is going to bother me. I had to get rid of those. That was bothering me. Okay. His lips are moving? Yeah. Anyway, so the reason why we're all here, to go over Season 2 rules, okay? Now, as I had requested from Season 1, there is an option for people to put in their suggestions for what could be changed to the rules for Season 2. I looked at all of them, and of course I considered all of them, but some of them either are undoable or they didn't make sense per the rules. It seemed more like it was production based. So there were some things that I had to ignore, or there are some things that I could not consider, but there was also a lot that I took note of, and I made some changes. We're going to go over everything, and hopefully everyone's good with it. And if you're not, we still have a little bit of time, but I think for the most part, everything here is concrete. Underwear should be optional. Well, that's up to you, man. All right. Okay, I need to do something here. Hold on. 1 second. All right. Okay, let's move into this scene. Here we go. Why does it seem like everything is shifted to the left? That is just very weird. And there's no bar. Oh, well, that's okay. I guess it doesn't really matter. So Season 2 rules. Let me get flip-flopping around. Why not? Commando all the way. All learning curve. Season 2 rules. Okay, everything in here has been updated. Well, not everything has been updated, but everything's been reviewed to determine whether or not it needs to be updated or changed, given the feedback and also the experiences we had during Season 1. Some of these I feel are going to be more accommodating. They're going to be a little bit more appropriate, particularly for players and their actions, the way the season proceeds, and the way the playoffs progress. So without further ado, why don't we just get straight into it? There were 2 new sections added. So important roles and links. Important roles might change a little bit. Hey, Justin, what's going on? The important roles section was added. So if you're wondering, because if people were asking, well, who's a chief? Who's this? Who's that? Blah, 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 blah. Right. So I figure I'd put it in the rules. Now, these might change because I still have, I have to add a couple more chiefs. Some have already asked. So this section, just know that this section might change. Now, the important links section is referring to Discord and YouTube, Twitch, and all that other stuff. So that's a little bit different. Why is my webcam? I'm just going to fix my webcam because that's going to irritate me. Give me a second. I mean, it looks like I'm already green anyway. That didn't really help, did it? Shouldn't have worn a green shirt. I was considering, I was like, maybe I shouldn't wear a green shirt, and here I am wearing a green shirt. Just make it a little bit better. Essentially bringing it right back to where it was. Okay. So, how do you enter? Well, we all kind of know how to enter, right? We got to go to Gaming Synergy Pro League. You got to make sure you have an account there. So make sure you make the account, and then you have to invite your team members. I'm assuming there's quite a few teams that are coming back. We already have a few that are signed up. It's already open if you guys want to register your team. So be sure to get in on that. Be sure to do it I want to try to reach for the 22nd of December, okay? Right before holiday starts and everybody's traveling and all that. Let's try to get it done before then. That's the reason why I'm even pushing the season out towards January rather than a couple of weeks, because not only do I want to give people time to set up teams and organize and whatever and get their account set up, but I also want to make sure we're past the holiday hump and everybody can focus on this rather than traveling and focusing on family, okay? So let's try to aim for the 22nd of December. I will be opening up the season 2 categories and channels this week, so be sure to keep an eye out for those. It's going to be the same registration cost, $30, nothing more. You're going to be sending it to the same person. You'll be sending it to me. I'll be reaching out to people just to make sure. I'll be cataloging who has paid, who hasn't paid, yada yada yada. Try again. This part hasn't really changed. Try to be available during these time zones for Eastern Central Time or Eastern Standard Time 6 to 11 and GMT time hours 6 and 11. Okay. Matches may be played outside the window, but when matchmaking issues occur, the admin team will have to favor the team that was most available during the time. And please, 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 the only way we can come to this conclusion is if you use the proper channels to communicate when or how you're organizing the match and scheduling the match. If you do it in DMs, I cannot help you. And that was an issue that we had last season. People were organizing matches outside of the proper channels, and I was confused. Other chiefs were confused, and we couldn't help. So please do it in the proper channels. I know sometimes you want to try to keep things private, but anything related to the league and organizing and scheduling, please keep it to the proper channels. The teams and players may play in other organizations' leagues, but this will not be a valid reason for scheduling issues for AWL matches. In other words, feel free to play in anything else, but make sure you are accommodating AWL as well. Like don't double book and don't schedule and say like, well, we can't do this day because we're playing in 3 other leagues, and so like, you have to work around us. Be accommodating to each other, okay? All teams must provide a team logo and gaming synergy when registering for the event. If you cannot make a team logo, you can ask me. I'm more than happy to help, even if it's a temporary logo. Here's a minor change. All teams must have at least 1 captain to act as a spokesperson and match scheduler, and a minimum of 4 players totaling 5 minimum and 10 maximum on the roster. So you have to have minimum 5 players on your team and a maximum of 10, no more than that. So you could essentially have 2 separate teams. Okay, just like last season. Players can also be designated as lieutenants to assist with team leader duties. It's not required, but strongly recommended. So all captains and lieutenants must be present in the Discord server in one, whether it's a captain or a lieutenant. This was confusing. People were complaining like, well, why does a captain always have to be in the match? Last season, it did say, I'm pretty certain it said captain and or lieutenant. So one of them has to be there. And the reason is because the captains and the lieutenants are the ones who are supposed to know the rules inside and out and are supposed to guide their team and lead their team during a match. So having a captain or lieutenant, which is why I recommend having maybe 2 lieutenants be in a match. Okay, if you have a captain and 2 lieutenants, that means there's 3 of you that out of the 3 of you, at least one of you has to be there. Okay. It just makes for organizing the match and scheduling and making sure everybody's following the rules, especially your own team, making sure your team is following the rules. It makes it easier, and it takes a lot of responsibility off of everybody else of having to go back and watch and be like, well, what do you think? It's like, no, it's your team. You're responsible. Keep everybody in line. Make sure they're following the rules. There's no restriction on the locale of players. That's no different than last season. Players must register using what is considered their main account, PSN, Oculus, or Pico, Steam account when it's released. Right now, the Steam beta is being worked on. So whenever that releases, that will also be added in. So people have to make sure they're using their Steam account. And don't worry, Easy Anti-Cheat is being used. So, we'll be able to monitor cheating a little bit. Or a secondary account that is declared to admin before participating in a match. So in other words, if you do what I did, everybody was wondering who the hell this Onimusha guy was. That's my PlayStation account. Before the Search and Destroy tournament started or continued, I told my captain, please switch my name in the roster. It's not the Wolf Craze. It's Almighty on Musha now because that's my primary account. Now, if you let the admin know well before your match, and you say, "Hey, look, I'm changing my my account. I'm switching from this account to the other," then and if it's approved and it's okay, then be sure to let your captain know to change it in Gaming Synergy so that we have it documented as well. What do you do if you get Oculus or a new Oculus during when you sign up with a different name? Um, so like if you have a Meta account, it's going to stay the same. Like it doesn't matter if you get a new headset because the headset will. It's not the headset that has the information. There's a back end account on Meta's end where it stores all your information. So you won't have to change your name. But if you do decide to change your MetaQuest name, then please do let admin know, especially after signing up, and then let your captain know to switch it over on Gaming Synergy. All right, everything has to be as close to identical as possible. That way, we can track who is who, and we can, and to some degree, prevent people from getting on each other's accounts and so on and so forth. Only one account can be registered for a region, so you cannot have multiple accounts on a roster or across. So, like, I can't have the Wolf Craze and Almighty Onimusha on the same roster in the same region. So, if it's let's say we split up into regions, NA and EU, I cannot have the Wolf Craze and Almighty Onimusha on the NA. If I wanted to have Almighty Onimusha on NA and then play for a team in EU, and I have that as the Wolf Craze, I can do that. But they cannot be in the same region. All right. If a player switches from one platform to another, the name of the player from the platform to which they are switching must be declared prior to switching. So in other words, you cannot switch it without admin approval and admin knowing. It's not like we will say, no, you cannot switch your name. It's just a matter of process, making sure that everybody is informed before it happens so that there is no question. If you change your name and you forget to tell admin and you forget to tell anyone, we're going to assume it's someone different and that you run the risk of forcing a forfeit. So please just go through the process. Let us know that there's going to be a name change. I will make sure that the team card is updated, and then you got to make sure your captain changes the name in Gaming Synergy. And if your captain's having a hard time, all captains and lieutenants, if you're having a hard time figuring out how to change a name on Gaming Synergy, please let me know. I have administrative control over there, and I can assist you with that. Okay. If it is not declared prior to the scheduled match, said player, cannot participate in the match. Okay, so if we see it's a different name and we weren't aware of it, we're going to ask you to leave. Even if you tell us, well, this is so and so. Like if you change your name instead of it being Justin Johnson, and you say Justin Lawson, and you're like, hey, it's Justin Johnson. It's like, well, that's not what your name is. And as much as I believe you, it won't matter because you didn't go through the right process. Okay. Team rosters are managed by Gaming Synergy, so make sure you get your account up there. None of this has changed. Any new players added will be subject to a 7-day wait period, and we will cut any kind of additions or removals once regulation season hits 30% completion. So same thing as last season. So if it's 10 weeks of regulation season, that means week 3 is the last week you can do any adding or removing. Fielding a player in an event who is not listed on the roster, or if the name does not exactly match the provided account name, will result in a match being forfeit, and so we'll follow the forfeit process. Even if you rename an account, this will not be accepted. So obviously, this comes with very specific. This comes with the very specific circumstances that we were talking about before. Like if you go through the process and let us know, it's like then it's fine. Like it'll likely be the fact that you can play, that your name will change, blah 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 blah, right? But if there's someone on the roster and it doesn't match, so in other words, if it's I'm picking on you, Justin, here, but if your account name is Justin Johnson, as we read it here on Twitch, and in Gaming Synergy it's JSTN and then JONSON, yeah, they sound the same, but they're not exactly the same. They have to be the same. And so therefore, like if you play through a match and admin isn't aware, and then we're informed later, like, yeah, this random name came up and we weren't aware of who this was. They weren't supposed to be on the roster. We look into it and we weren't informed that you changed your name. Well, then you automatically forfeit that match. So make sure everything's accurate. Double check everything. Players may only be a member of one team in the same region, as we mentioned. Meaning you can play for an EU standard team and also an NA standard team, but not an NA and EU. Now that we probably won't be playing regionally. I don't think we have enough teams to actually consider that. So this is just for future proofing. Okay, if we end up playing regions, players' regions should be added to their name on the roster on Gaming Synergy. Now I added should because I know that this was something that people can either figure out or I have no idea, but people didn't always do. But if you can please add the region, whether it's NA, EU, AU, it just helps us organize who is where. Just as a consideration, it's important for us to know that. Okay. Knowingly and intentionally circumventing rules, roster rules by any means, such as a player using someone else's account claiming to be from another region, Smurf secondary accounts in order to play on multiple teams, will result in an instant ban from the player for the player from AWL for the remainder of the season. This will be a seasonal ban, just because it's a pretty egregious action to try to circumvent the rules and play around the system. It's disrespectful to me, the rest of admin, and all the other players. So please just follow the rules and don't do that. Don't do that stuff. Future offenses, so up to 3, which I will be cataloging. Fortunately, no one did this. No one tried to circumvent the the roster rules. So I'm not overly concerned. Hey, Cinderella. But future offenses like of this up to 3 will result in a permanent ban. So I will be keeping track of all that stuff. I keep it all in an Excel spreadsheet. So league structure, this is the most important part for everybody. Everything else seemed pretty standard. Things that we have gone over in the past. It was in season 1. League structure, depending on the number of team entrants, the league may split into multiple regions. I don't know if that will happen. We'd have to have pretty large team base, but team draws, if split into multiple groups, teams will be randomly selected and split across their respective regions. If there is no split, continue on to 2C. So 2C says teams will play each other once during the regular season, 1 game per week, in the order stated in the fixture list announced in the Discord before the season starts. What's up, Fergie? So again, this is no different. The points are going to be the same. We'll go over that soon. Playoffs will consist of top teams from each group, number determined by the admin, of course. Games played must be played weekly to completion to determine the overall winner. Games will use the playoff score system. So if a season has 1 group, then top 8 from the group. If a season has 2 groups, then top 4 from each group. That's if it's split into groups. But we're going to discuss playoffs a little bit more in detail, a little bit lower. So teams tied in end of regulation season points will compete in a predetermined tiebreaker match. So before the season starts, and I don't want anyone to be confused by this, so please listen closely. At the beginning of the season, similar to what Nizmac has been doing for the Search and Destroy tournament, at the beginning of the season, I will do a random selection of a map, a random selection of a mode, and a random selection of the server to pick a tiebreaker that will be used in every circumstance there is a tie, whether it's regulation season or playoff, or for placement in the playoff. So if there's 2 people placed in first, there will be a tiebreaker match that was predetermined. It'll be using this predetermined arrangement for every tiebreaker, so it will never change. So if there's a tie in week 1, if there's a tie going into playoffs, and if there's a tie in playoffs, it'll be the same arrangement. Does that make sense? Does everybody get it? I don't want there to be any confusion. So when I list it, and let's say, for example, it's House, Hardpoint, on EU, then that means every tiebreaker match to determine who is an actual victor will play House, Hardpoint, EU. Does that make sense? Everybody get that? I hope so. I don't want there to be any questions. And if anyone asks questions about it, I know that they didn't watch this, or they didn't read the rules, or they didn't ask questions. and that'll irritate me. So please don't do that. Hopefully everybody understands. Apologies for my congestion. Scheduling and no-shows. Matches must be arranged using the appropriate matchmaking channel on Discord. Again, please use the channels as they're intended. Do not do things in private messages. Teams should make the effort to schedule prior to the week they are played. That'll make things easier for everyone in terms of scheduling. If it is done within that week that you're supposed to play it, that's fine. I'd rather it not be that way, but just don't make things difficult for each other. All league matches are played weekly and must be played within the allocated week. They cannot roll over into the following week unless there are server issues or at given administration approval. This is no different than last season. Due diligence in scheduling a match must be displayed in the matchmaking channel of Discord. I capitalized must because apparently people missed this last season. There were private messages going on with regards to I appreciate that, Fergie. There were issues last season with people scheduling in private messages, and then they were like, hey, I've done this, our team has done this, we put in our due diligence, and I said, where? Because I didn't see shit. So if you put it in the right channel, then I can say, this team did their due diligence, this team did their due diligence. If you guys have to push it to a different week, I that's okay. I can accommodate. I saw you guys tried. This week didn't work out. Okay? So, please, proper channels. If one team shows an effort to communicate whilst the other does not, and a match has not been arranged within the week it should be scheduled, the team showing no effort in communication voluntarily forfeits. No extension is given under these circumstances. So if there is one team that is scheduling in the proper channel and the other team is talking in private messages to the other captain, but the one captain of the other team is doing it in the proper channel, I will be supporting the one doing it in the proper channel, not the one doing the private messages. I don't care how many screenshots you send me. I don't care what you claim you have done. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. I hate to be a sourpuss about it, but we got to treat each other with respect. So please use the proper channels. Have I emphasized this enough? Once a fixture is confirmed, one of the captains must post this fixture into the relevant fixtures channel. This is no different. But if neither of you do it, it's the responsibility of the captains and or the lieutenants to ensure this is done. Okay? Do it in the same format you did last season. Team 1 versus Team 2 on said day of the week, said month, some said number day of the month, and said time zone. Okay? 4 hours notice must be given if unable to play. The non-canceling team may force a forfeit or allow the match to be rescheduled if less than 4 hours notice. Now, there's a lot of sportsmanship, of course, going on, and we saw a lot of that in Season 1, but we also saw a lot of frustration when people were forcing a forfeit. It's like, well, keep your team in line. Make sure that those who can make it can make it. If you're creating some sort of disruption in the match, then you don't have a right to necessarily complain that a team is forcing a forfeit. Okay, so please do it within 4 hours. That's reasonable and accommodating. But if the non-canceling team says, okay, we can reschedule, cool. If not, they're allowed to force a forfeit if it's less than 4 hours notice. So if you do it 3 hours notice, they'd be like, nah, man, like you didn't let us know within the given time frame. We're gonna force a forfeit and we're gonna move on. Okay. If a team is more than 15 minutes late to a match, the waiting team may force a forfeit or allow the match to be rescheduled. Again, this is giving it up to the players and the teams. Please be respectful of each other. If there is a member of your team who is late to the match and they are hanging things up, that is your team. It is your team's responsibility. And as a captain, it is your duty to ensure that those who agreed to join actually join. If there are hiccups, if there are delays and there are issues and they're communicating, saying, listen, this stuff is happening in the back end. I'm trying to get in. I'm having issues, whatever. As long as you're communicating, then make sure that's communicated to those who are in the lobby, and maybe teams will be more accommodating. However, If you have a decent enough roster, you should already have someone as a sub on board to stop the delay of game until the person who is originally supposed to be playing can actually get in. Okay. So substitutions can happen whenever. Game format. The general procession will be the same. Maps will be determined by each team. Server hosts will choose maps for the first half, and there are no stipulations around the frequency of when maps are picked. All matches should be 5v5. The only exception would be if a player drops during a match and is unable to return. The team of 4 must, and here's a big change, because there is some confusion, and I wanted to spell this out for everybody. The team of 4 must finish the round they are in, and later, while in the lobby, can choose to continue to play with 4 or within 5 minutes have a substitute join. Okay? So just because a player drops during a match does not mean that the play stops. It continues because there's a chance for that person who dropped to come back into the lobby. And if they don't, let's say you're halfway through a team deathmatch round and they don't come back, then the cards fall where they fall. Is it shitty? Yes. But it goes for everybody. So make sure your connection is stable. And if you drop because your connection sucks, like mine, then it's no one's problem but my own. And I, myself, as a player who dropped, am responsible for hurting my team in that moment because of poor connection. Okay? So there is no accommodation there. The team who has lost a player must complete the round, and later, while in the lobby, can choose to continue to play with 4 or within 5 minutes have someone come in, whether it's the same person who dropped or a substitute. All teams should have 1 or 2 substitutes on deck in case of the event an active match player drops and cannot return. There is no need for a 15, 20, 30-minute hang-up to try to figure this shit out. Have people on deck, please. If 1 or 2 substitutes cannot be arranged, this is not an excuse to delay the game or end the current game and reschedule. Play must go on, or the team can choose to forfeit. Okay? So either way, play should go on. There's too much accommodating going on last season. It got too sticky. There were frustrations. Here it is, black and white. The game continues regardless. So make sure you have substitutes, and it is up to your team to ensure that there are substitutes available. If you do not have the substitutes available, that is on you as a team and is not the responsibility of anybody else. Okay? Substitutes should be considered when arranging times for matches. So if you're going to have the substitutes, they should also be considered so that you can ensure that the substitutes are present. The team of 5 does not have to drop a player to make the teams even, but may do so if they choose. That's carryover. If the team of 4 chooses to conclude, they forfeit the match. No points will be awarded to the forfeiting team. However, the points that were earned by the winning team will be awarded. No team can continue the match with 3 or fewer players. So it's imperative to have good connection, to have a good roster that is reliable and going to be there, and good to have enough members on your roster to have substitutions. So, as a team, not as a player base, as a team, make sure you have a suitable roster and a dedicated, loyal, and reputable roster, not just random people who are not going to commit to this. Server selection. If the league is split into regional groups, matches may be played on a server best suited for that region. So if it's NA region, an EU region, the NA region, regardless on who is on the roster, will be playing on the NA server, so the US servers. And anyone in the EU region, regardless of where they are, if they're playing in the EU group, then it will only be the EU server. But that's only if we get like 20 plus and there's like an even split between EU teams and NA teams, but that hasn't happened yet. So, as the league is run as one global group, the non-hosting team will choose EU or NA server for the first half, and the server must swap. Here's the change that everybody was asking for. Server must swap at halftime, except when the following condition is met. So, the majority of players play within the same region. So, if you have 2 teams that are predominantly NA, just keep it NA. If both teams are primarily in the same region, the same server can be played. But otherwise, Otherwise, it is no choice. There is no choice. The server must swap at halftime. Okay. Again, if two teams are predominantly NA and both teams are aware of this, you can keep it NA. Otherwise, switch. Regular season matches are composed of two halves, each proceeding through the team deathmatch, search and destroy, and hardpoint in that order. We all knew this. That's not changing. Playoffs, teams will be organized by seeding, and here's a big change. And I think this will be more accommodating for everybody because I know some people were disappointed about how the seeding arrangement led to the bottom teams playing some of the harder teams and there not being enough fairness involved. Give me 1 second. Okay. So teams will be organized in the following way. It's going to be split into two groups, Group A and Group B. I'll show you an example of this. End of regulation play seeding will determine which group teams will be placed in and who in that group they will compete against. In the event of a tie, a match with a predetermined map and mode will be played immediately after to determine proper seeding position. Okay? That is not spaced, and that's driving me crazy. So give me a second. I'm going to go back to the desk. I'm going to pull up Discord. And I'm going to show you guys kind of what this means. And the names in this are arbitrary. So please just ignore what teams are actually in here. All right. Actually, let's do this instead. Yeah, let's do this instead. Hello? It just didn't want to work. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the other screen. Okay. So in looking at this, right? Again, arbitrary. But this is kind of how it would be set up. Let's full screen this bad boy. So Group A, for example, let's say if we had Hacks, Reigning Havoc, Paradox, Trauma, Repeat Offenders, Death Squad, German Grandpas, right, and Paragon, right? Assume we had these. You can see the seating. Let me zoom in here so you guys can see better. So Group A will look like this. 4 and 5 in game number 1 would play. Whoever won that would then go up against, let's say Paradox was seeded first place. They would go up against Paradox. And Trauma and Repeat Offenders would, so second and third place would go up against each other to go to the semifinals, right? But anyone who loses, so let's say if Reigning Havoc beats Hacks to move on to face Paradox, loser of round 1, so will go down here. And then loser of round 2 will then go down here. And they go into a lower bracket, or loser's bracket, okay? Who cares if I'm offending anyone? It's a loser's bracket. They go down to loser's bracket to then compete to fight their way back up and try to win. So let's say, for example, Hacks loses. They come down here, Reigning Havoc and Paradox fight. I'm not calling it a redemption, okay? Look, it even says on here, loser's bracket, okay? If you lose, you're a loser. Just accept it. This ain't no blue ribbon committee, all right? When I lose, I'm a loser. It just is what it is. It's not an insult. It's placement value. So Paradox versus Reigning Havoc. Reigning Havoc win again. Paradox now go off into the loser's bracket to go up against Hacks. And now Hacks and Paradox fight to get into this round, right? Hold on, let me see. Oh no, correction. Hacks comes down here. This is game number 2. So then whoever wins between Trauma and Repeat Offenders, let's say Repeat Offenders beat Trauma in an upset, right? Trauma comes down here to go up against Hacks. Hacks versus Trauma. Trauma beats Hacks. They move on to here into this next placement, and whoever loses this value, Paradox versus Raining Havoc. Raining Havoc wins, and Paradox goes up against the winner of this round. Okay? So, this is all automatically done. So, if it's confusing for you, it's okay. I am used to being a loser, okay? I get it. I am used to being a loser. But if this confuses you, that's okay because this is all automatically done. So you don't have to worry about it. Now, the upside here is that you could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all kind of going up against each other, right? This is Group A. And then whoever is in Group B, in this case, like if we have more teams, obviously this would be more filled out like this. It would be Death Squad versus German Grandpas to fight against Paragon, right? And so whoever loses this match will come down here. So let's say German Grandpa's upset and beat Death Squad. Death Squad comes down here. They're a loser of the very first round. And then Paragon go up against German Grandpas. Let's say German Grandpas beat Paragon and they move on. That means Paragon and Death Squad go up against each other in a fight to try to compete again. All right. So all this will be arranged automatically. So you guys won't have to worry about it. But at least this gives people the double elimination opportunity that they were asking for. You can also see, well, let's not do it down there. Let's do it up here so you can see. You can see where the participants lay, what rank they are. Obviously, this isn't set because this is just for an example, right? And you can see the match history over here. So it's a really, really cool little thing we got going on there. Anyway, so that's how that works. All right. Let's get back to business. So people were requesting for double elimination. There's double elimination in playoffs, and hopefully that will give people who may not have had an opportunity before actually have an opportunity to win this time around and win the whole thing. Who is in here with me? Oh, that's me. I don't know why it's showing I'm in here double. Oh, that'd be why. Because Wolf is an idiot. Okay. So Group A, Group B, double elimination. End of regulation play seeding will determine which group teams will be placed in and who in that group they will compete against. The lowest seeded team picks first. So this was an issue that we have in season 1, where the highest seeded team picked the search and destroy role first and the first map, and a lot of people thought that this is a little bit unfair because if they're highest seeded team, that means that they're arguably the better team of the two competing. So why are they given an even more or greater advantage? Okay, I heard you. Everybody heard you, and we made the change. So the lowest seeded team will pick the search and destroy role first, whether it's attack or defense, and they'll also be able to pick the map first. The highest seeded team will pick the server region, though. So where you pick, let's say you pick your best map, Dojo, search and destroy, let's say search and destroy, first map, whatever it is for team deathmatch, right? You get to pick, actually for the first half, right? The first 3, you get to pick all your maps. So for the first half, first 3 games, you get to pick the map, and then you also get to pick search and destroy. And let's say your team's better on defense, you get to pick that as well. That gives the lower seeded team more of an advantage to win, or at least an opportunity to win. But the highest seeded team does need something in their favor, so giving them region server pick is important. So I figure we flip-flop that, and we give the lowest seeded team more of a chance by giving them more options to improve their chances of winning, and give the highest seeded team at least one thing, which is server. 1 second. I feel like that's fair. I feel like that's accommodating to what people are asking for. Playoff matches are double elimination rounds, so play concludes when the team reaches 4. That has stayed the same. That's not going to change. They do not all rounds have to be played, but it'll go in the same sequence: TDM, S&D, and hardpoint. In the event of a tie, as you see, this is repeated multiple times, so the redundancy, if it isn't drilled into your head yet, the redundancy is there. In the event of a tie, the predetermined map and mode will be played to determine the winner. Scoring is going to be the same. 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, and 0 points for a loss. So regulation season will stay the same. Now, in the event of a tie mid-season, I'd have to think about this because I know that there's sometimes, let's say on a hard point, you guys get a tie. There's actually no winner there. What does that mean? Are we going to replay that, or are we going to use the predetermined? Because as you see, I didn't put the predetermined map choice in here. However, that is the direction I was planning on going. That way, it wouldn't be a rematch of the same thing. For hardpoint, it would be a rematch, or team deathmatch, for example. It'd be a rather than being a rematch of a team deathmatch or a hardpoint, you would pick a completely separate circumstance that no one has arranged outside of me, who predetermines that at the beginning of the season. So I will have that added in here for clarity at a later time, but it is something that I have pondered and I have to bring up to the Chiefs to figure out whether or not, should we just have them replay that round, or should we use this predetermined circumstance? I haven't really come to a conclusion. So that's one bit that I need to confirm. So before posting the rules, that will be in here. So take note, if for all the captains and lieutenants, write down somewhere that Wolf is going to figure out regulation season tiebreaker situations. Okay? If not, then clip that right here and save this, whether it's on the YouTube channel or Twitch channel. Clip it. Captains must agree on the score at the end of the match, as previous season dictated. Score should be entered on Gaming Synergy. The automatic cutoff point is a Tuesday following the week. So if you played a game tomorrow, which would be a Wednesday, the 8th of November, then next Tuesday would be the cutoff point from when you would have to actually enter your score. Scores not entered before this point will automatically be set to 0. Excuse me. Any complications with inputting scores must be communicated with admin prior to the actual due date. Okay, must be communicated with an admin or chief so that assistance can be provided. This is the only circumstance in which points are awarded past submission date, and they will be awarded. I had to do that. I had to do that a couple of times last season, but people understood this rule and they followed the process. If a team requests assistance past the submission date, the team will not be awarded the points. So if it is past 1,200 hours Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, and it's like 5 p.m. Tuesday afternoon, you're like, hey, I didn't get the score in on time. Could you help me? I am going to say no. It is well past the submission date. Okay? Please be contemporaneous. Do this as quickly as possible so that there are no issues. I didn't really have any issues last season, so I don't suspect any more. But if there are any new players coming in, any new captains or lieutenants, please be quick about it. Do not delay. Playoff matches. Teams will be split into 2 groups, Group A and B. Matches are double elimination. Winning team moves on to the next round, while the losing team moves into the lower bracket. See, I was nice in the rules. I didn't call it a loser bracket. I call it a lower bracket. See playoffs above for any questions. Once both teams have entered the score on Gaming Synergy, it will be automatically posted into Discord, I believe. All right, so you're going to see red here, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Captains must mutually agree who will host the lobby. Prior to playing, all players should quit the game and turn off the console. None of this is new. This all came from last season before setting up the host server and or accepting the invite. Doing this helps resolve most common connection issues. Big request from last season. Host will change at halftime as assurance for shared lobby control. I said it all last season that host and server connection are separate from each other. The host master only controls the settings and the start of the match, does nothing else. However, there's a lot of skepticism in this community around the impact of someone hosting a lobby and everybody's connection to the server. I have been assured on multiple occasions that this is not the fact or not the case. Everybody's own connection, their own internet connection is independent of everybody else's in the server. So when I bitch and complain that server connection is an issue, it is likely on my end because my service connection sucks. Will you hear me complain about things? Yes. Is it trying to find an excuse outside of me? Yes. This happens. This is what happens when you're highly competitive and when you are a sweat like myself. But that doesn't make it true. It's just me or whomever else complaining. The fact is, host of the lobby has no impact on individual connection to the server. But despite this knowledge, people still complain. So I put in the rules that regardless, there is no asking. Okay? Host will change at halftime, period. So if, let's say, I don't know, let's say German Grandpas are hosts for the first half. The second half, they go up against, I don't know, Devil's Spit, right? If they're going up against Devil's Spit, German Grandpas are facing Devil's Spit. The German Grandpas have host first half. Second half, Devil's Spit will have host lobby control. Okay? Doesn't matter. So make sure at halftime you switch hosts. Fair? Everybody asked for it. There it is, black and white. You guys got it. If issues with lag occur, file connection issues. Now, why is this part in red? Because as much as we are excited to have spectator mode, it is not a complete spectator mode that we want. Okay? Sadly, it's just not the case. I asked about January 1st. If by January 1st we'll have a proper UI, or for those who don't know what that means, user interface, and those who don't know what that means, the overlay that you see when you typically watch, let's say, an esport, right? With scores, names of players on each team, blah, 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 blah. That information currently is not available on the spectator mode. So why am I considering not using spectator mode completely? It's because it doesn't have that information. It doesn't tell us which player or who is who. So it doesn't have player labels. And it doesn't give us any other information. It's literally just watching the game. That makes, as broadcasters, that makes it very difficult to make any kind of call-outs. And as a viewer, it makes it very confusing on who's winning. So, spectator mode will be used sparingly. In other words, it'll be used for like beginning of the match, map fly-throughs. It'll be used for like, I don't know, random, like if it's on hard point, and I can get it over to the hard point and we can have a different aerial perspective. Maybe we can use it for that. We can use it to like, I don't know, provide a flair to the experience rather than having two dead perspectives. So it's going to be used, but not from a commentary kind of position. Ease up, you two. Ease up. Not the place for it, please. I know it's some of you might be jesting, but that's in the past. Let's move forward. So streaming. So I have written in here, streaming is not mandatory. As you can see, it's all in red, which means I was waiting to get confirmation as to the spectator mode. So streaming, it will still be mandatory until a proper spectator mode is available. Okay. If there's only one team that can stream, I might be accommodating because I have spectator mode, but please make an effort. Recording the match. Okay, recording the match. I wouldn't suggest doing that. Just a lot of this is changing. So whatever's in red, expect it to change. Make note, captains and lieutenants again. Wolf is going to update the streaming requirement. Okay. That cool? The stream must be public and free. So if you are streaming, make sure it's public and free to view for at least 7 days. Because if there are any statements or accusations, we will need evidence. And if your video is not available to support your cause or support your statement, then it doesn't help you. Yeah, I got used to it. I've I mean, I was in the alpha testing of it. I was like in it very, very early on. So I'm already very accustomed to it. It's a bit floaty, but it's no different than Breachers. Breachers has the same thing. It has the same kind of controls. Um, so yeah, I'm used to it. So it must be made public and free for 7 days. If you're up on Twitch, you have to make sure you have save VODs enabled. And on YouTube, live is made public. Do not have that hidden. Do not have that private. Keep it public. If it's private, I cannot. If it's private, I cannot find it. And if it's what's the other one? There's the public. There's private, and then there's another one which is like it's hidden. So like unless you're given the link, you can't access it. Right? Just keep it public, please. And I'm adding this. I don't know why I kept it red, but this can go black now. If you are over on Twitch, you can highlight the VOD to keep it permanent. So if you go into your dashboard, there's a highlight button under the content section. If you hit that highlight button, you can actually save the entire video so it never disappears. If that's something you want to do, you can do that. If you don't know how to do that and you need some sort of instruction, you can ask me, anyone else who streams. You can ask Titch, who is obviously very capable of helping anyone when it comes to that stuff. Just be careful because he's wordy. He's a wordy guy. Tell him to be, Titch, fewer words, please. Okay? But if you want anyone who's knowledgeable about anything that has to do with streaming, with saving anything on Twitch, he's the guy to go to. If you need help on YouTube, I'm perfectly capable of helping in that area. Gamer party voice must be used during a league match. Okay, game voice chat for all players, especially if you are on PlayStation. Okay, game voice chat for all players must be shared at all times. Party voice chat for all players must be shared during all rounds, but in the lobby, it can be set to private for tactical reasons. So if you're going to be going to private voice chat, you are going to have to make your audio available. I know Sony has a difficult time making sure that this function works properly. If it becomes an issue, we're going to have to deal with it then and there. But if you're going to use it for tactical reasons, in the main lobby, you can do that. But when you're going into the game, switch back to game voice chat so you can be heard, especially if you're muted during private voice chat. If we cannot hear you at any point and it's not noted like by someone verbally in the stream, in other words, like if the person who's streaming, if they do not audibly say so and so is having audio issues, okay, like we can hear them but they're not being heard on stream, like then to me it's like someone's hiding something. Okay, so please be very considerate of this. At least show your due diligence that you're trying to correct the issue. If you're showing that, then we can let it slide. But if you're purposely hiding your voice, that's grounds for forcing a forfeit. Okay, do not hide what you're saying. I had a very bad moment last season, and I still didn't hide what I said. So I have to eat that. I have to eat what I said. And then you move on. So be sure to keep your voice available at all times. To avoid any potential issues or allegations, the one streaming must not host the lobby. A lot of people were concerned about this. It's in here. It says to avoid any potential issues or allegations, which were abundant last season. Okay? The one streaming must not host the lobby. If you're streaming, you're not hosting a lobby. First half or second half. If you decide to be the streamer for your team, don't expect to host. And be honest about it. Okay? It doesn't really do anything, like I said, because the host doesn't impact everybody's independent connection to the server. But it's here in black and white because you guys requested it. Okay? Finding out you're having performance issues during the match on account of streaming does not constitute a replay of the round. If you are struggling with your stream and it is causing connection issues, then you need to communicate that with your team You need to cut your stream, and you need to find someone else to stream. Okay? So make sure you are capable of streaming and playing. If you can't, then you need to find someone else to do it, which means you should be testing all this stuff before the season even starts. Make sure you're capable of doing it. If your stream is skipping, but it's not having any impact on the game itself, then I don't care. That just means your streaming ability or your streaming software sucks. I know I run with OBS and Streamlabs OBS, and sometimes it's shit, and you just have to deal with it. Been there, done that. But if it's not affecting the game, then so be it. It's whatever. Keep the play going. We'll figure out on the streaming end side of things, okay? But it's not a reason to replay around. So your own personal connection issues are not a reason to replay around. Does everybody understand that? If you as a player are having connection issues, the only team you're impacting negatively is your own team. So have your shit in order. Do not blame anybody else for your issues. We are not babysitters. We are friends, or at least we're acquaintances, and we respect each other, but we are not there to be your parent. Fix your stuff. Make sure you're able to competently play. Okay? There will be a 2-point deduction in Community Strike when any squad member playing is caught watching an opponent's stream. This is an opponent's stream. An opponent's stream. Okay? Watching the amateur hour commentary stream does not constitute stream sniping. So many people were making this claim last season. It does not constitute stream sniping because there is often a delay in our stream, for one, and perspectives are always changing, and commentators are often discreet about player team position. So to say watching the AHC stream is stream sniping is not according to the rules and according to me, does not constitute stream sniping. Now, if you are in the opponent's stream, listening directly to their comms, and you're watching every step and every maneuver, that is stream sniping. This is when any squad member, playing or not, if you are just watching, and you're watching your team, but you're watching from the other team's perspective, on their stream, you are stream sniping. And because we don't know if you're actually communicating to your team via Discord, via texting, via whatever means, if you are caught in someone else's stream, we are going to automatically assume it's stream sniping. Does that make sense? So regardless if you say anything, regardless if we're able to determine or whether or not you're actually talking to your team while you're watching, it's stream sniping. So stay out of other people's streams. If you're going to watch it, go watch it on AHC. Not because we want the views, but because we want to avoid this shit. Okay? Once all players are in a lobby, if you're in game chat, please be respectful of your conversation. In other words, what you're saying, and be considerate of the volume. Some people are loud. And sometimes mic control is very difficult to manage. So, watch your volume, watch the words that you say, and even if you're in party chat, if you're heard on stream being disrespectful, even though it's not directly at the team, you might get a warning. Okay? If you want to be disrespectful, in other words, if you come out of the lobby, the match is over. Technically the match is over. Like, this is what I did last season. I got pissed off. I got out of the lobby, and then I spewed some things that I shouldn't have said. Everybody heard it, right? However, I was not within earshot. I was not directing it at the team directly. I was saying it indirectly. That does not necessarily qualify as unsportsmanlike conduct, because now it just becomes my own personal stream. That doesn't make it okay. I got a warning. If you think I didn't, I did. I got a warning. It's bad behavior. So, please, exactly as Fergie said, don't be a douche. It's okay to get upset. It's okay to get pissed off. It's okay to cuss and scream. But please be respectful of each other. Teams need to be able to organize their players. If you're asked to be quiet, please be respectful. It's not because No one wants to hear you. It's just probably because you're being too loud. Connection issues. Individual players are responsible to maintain a stable connection. Individual connection issues are not a cause to change servers or delay match progression. All this is carryover from last season. Players are strongly encouraged to reset their modem and or router should they have a history of poor connection, like myself, and prior to the start of the scheduled match. If the Alvo servers are down and more than 50% of all players are experiencing connection issues, neither team will be penalized. Attempts to change server or postpone or reschedule the event will be allowed. Alvo server connection issues must be reported to the administration prior to postponement or rescheduling. All right. If connection issues result in the need to restart the lobby, all players must close and restart the application. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. This can cause, like, once there's some sort of issue that is experienced within an application, Alvo or any other one, it tends to mess up the application itself. So if you close it down, it shuts everything off essentially for that application, and then re-entering the application, it should fix any potential issues. Okay, so do it regardless, even if you think you're good. Glitches and exploits are going to be the same. The use of any cheats or exploits or glitches in any event under the banner of the Alvo World League is strictly prohibited. If you use it in public, I don't give a shit. Okay, that's up to you. That's public. If you do it in private matches outside of an actual scheduled match, don't really care. That is up for you guys to figure out on your own. But if you are caught using any known cheat, glitch, or exploit, or anything that we see that shouldn't be part of the game, in the moment that you're doing it, that would be considered cheating, exploiting, or glitching the game, it is prohibited. This includes, but is not limited to, shooting through walls indoors that are, I added that because that was missing language, that are missing their colliders, must report to the developing team to correct. Moving outside of a map, stream sniping, manipulation of IK, so in other words, the way the body moves within the game itself to gain a tactical and or shooting position otherwise not available. Yes, the rules will be in Discord. Yes, Witch Kisses, it will be in Discord. I can, yeah, if I could have someone translate, that'd be great. This does not include shooting limbs through the walls, as we discussed last season. If you shoot someone through the wall, it's okay because some people like to go prone in locations that make their body, their hitbox, significantly smaller and much harder to visually detect. So if we're going to allow that, then we're going to allow shooting through a wall. So please know where your feet are poking through. Okay. So I already gave the rationale before. I'm not going to go over that. Disputes. If an issue happens during a match, the captain that is negatively affected can either raise a dispute or request the round is replayed. Okay. So if a player drops, right? Let me think. Excuse me. If there's like some sort of glitch that's happening in the game, and it's somehow affecting like the other team, the team that is negatively affected can request a round to be replayed. The offending team cannot decide this. Disputes in this context are only connection issues. Okay. Negatively affected here refers to the team that is the one on the receiving end of an issue. If the round is replayed, the new round must be counted as the correct score. Now, with how the rules are written now, there are very, very, let me be clear, there are very few circumstances under which a match should be replayed. Very few. Okay? In other words, if let's say two people drop out because they were kicked and they were kicked back to the lobby, it wasn't a connection issue. They were literally just kicked because of some sort of game glitch, then that round can be replayed. But given how the rules are, there are very few circumstances that I can't even think of right now, besides that one, where a round should be replayed. let me see. The match should continue without delay, and the administrative team will make a decision based on the incident afterwards. Okay, so all that's pretty much the same, right? To raise a dispute, the following must happen again. Please, 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 please use the proper channels as I had asked you to use before. I'm emphasizing this so much this season because channels simply were not used last season. To raise a dispute, the following must happen. Inform the other team straight away so all players can record footage. In other words, there has to be some sort of recording of the event from the perspective provided, including the lobby conversation in the footage submitted to the admin team. In other words, we want to make sure that any conversation had around the dispute, we hear that conversation and we can consider it. Because if you are disrespectful and unsportsmanlike in any way, any team has a right to dispute something as long as they feel they can show proof or evidence of its occurrence. And you, as a team who is having the dispute made against them, is not in a position to tell them no. They have a right. And it may be completely unrelated to you as a player or as a person. It may be related to the game. So if there's a dispute, there is to be no bitching or complaining. It's like, okay, no problem. Yeah, sure. Let me know, what section you need, and I'll be sure to get our perspective over to the admin. Okay? It's not a big deal. This is not a, laying our dicks on the table to see who's is bigger contest. Okay? This is a matter of making sure things are fair. Tag a moderator and or chief in the relevant channel, and disputes must be reported within 24 hours of the incident. If it happens on, let's say you play your match Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If it is not reported by Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, then I will not review it. You have a day to get your stuff together. Okay. Disputes must be reported as above, not as DMs to admins or mods, as these will go unanswered. I will again, if it is something unrelated to a dispute or anything else that already has a channel in the Discord, you can DM me. That's fine. But if there's a channel for it, please use those channels. If the admin team discovers an incident that was not reported, corrective action may still be taken. This rarely, if at all, happened last season. So, when a dispute is raised, all relevant participants must record the game footage, both teams. So, forfeits, withdrawals, everything's the same. Pretty much. Let me just double check. Let's see. When a team withdraws entirely from the league, it will result in all scores. So, yeah, that's the same. Teams that have not played will then have a bye week. The game that they were supposed, or the week they were supposed to play the team that forfeited for the season. If a single match is forfeited, it will result in the following. The forfeiting team is awarded 0 points. The affected team, in other words, the non-forfeiting team, the affected team is awarded the max number of points for the match. So you definitely don't want to forfeit. You want to avoid forfeiting, period. The reason being is because if both teams are scheduling and everybody has accommodated their schedule to play that specific day and time, and one team is like, well, we can't anymore, therefore we're forfeiting, that has just put the other team at an inconvenience, and therefore they are awarded max points that they can get for that match. Okay? So avoid forfeiting. If a team forfeits twice in a season, they will be removed from the current event. They can come back and play next season. Like, I don't want to deal with constant forfeits. It's a lot of back-end work for me. I don't want to deal with it. Okay? And it's not fair to everybody else. It's a disrespect to everybody else's time. If a forfeit happens once a match is underway, it will result in the following. Forfeit rules above, point 2B. So the affected team, the affected team will be awarded the max number of points. And this is regardless if the forfeiting team won rounds. So even if you won rounds, but you forfeit mid-match, it's like, okay, well, you just inconvenienced us more because not only did you show up, but now you're just saying, yeah, we don't care to play anymore. It's, again, to me, that is disrespectful. If you're going to be playing a match and you're going to be playing in this league, you need to commit. Okay. Should they forfeit mid-match, they forfeit all points earned. Okay. Strike system. There's another big change here. Okay. I took issue with my own rule last season with how we manage strikes and how we managed any kind of punishment for certain conduct. So listen carefully to these. Match strikes. Offenses that occur within, this is pretty much the same. Offenses that occur within a match and are given when any deliberate action results in a breach of the rules, these will be held against the entire team. Each strike will result in a 2-point deduction from total team points, so this has maintained itself from the previous season, and automatically given when the admin team believes the behavior to be intentional. Note, the rule break may be accidental, but if the behavior that breaks the rule is deliberate, then a strike will be given. Okay, ignorance of the rules is not an excuse. Here's where the big change is. Community strikes. The act of an individual player will reflect on their team. So no longer are there individual strikes. Strikes will be given to teams when conduct of one or more players is deemed offensive or not in the spirit of sportsmanship, whether in a league match game, Discord, and or Twitch or YouTube league match streams. Okay? Point deductions. This is how we're handling it this season. I didn't like how it was handled last season with trying to figure out how to, removing people or whatever. So now it's just a point system. If the offending player or players is or are in Discord and is or are not on any team, they'll just be timed out. And if it keeps going on, I'll just remove the person altogether. If they're not part of any team, if they're just in there causing issues and they're not actually competing and they're not playing, even if you were a member of a team, but your team is not playing this season, if you are in there and causing issues, I will kick you. Don't give me reason to. And I'm done explaining myself too. You guys know the rules. So if you get kicked, then you know why you got kicked. If the player or players is or are actively participating in the league's current season, the associated team will receive point deductions per offense. So the first offense, your team is going to get a 1-point deduction. So even if it's a single player on your team who is causing issues and you are not rounding them up and saying, hey, shut up, or hey, be more respectful, if there is no due diligence on that end, if they are offending, then the entire team will get a point deduction. In other words, their total points for regulation season. If it happens a second time, you will lose 2 points. So if it happens the first time and it happens the second time, you're effectively losing 3 points. If there's a third offense, you will lose 3 more points, which will effectively be a total of 6 points that you have now lost, and so on and so forth. So the more offenses you have, the more points I get to gladly take away. I say gladly as a jest because I don't want to do that. But now no one can get kicked from the season or can get kicked from the league. No one's, unless it's overly egregious, that is so beyond unsportsmanlike and inhumane, no one will be getting kicked from the league. But your actions will affect your team. So behave yourselves. Okay, no warnings will be given. Be respectful. Okay. All strikes will be documented by the administrative team and will expire at the end of the current season. So what constitutes unsportsmanlike conduct? I outlined this a little bit. You know I was kidding, Wicked. That's why I said I don't want to do that. It makes me look like the bad guy. I don't want to be a bad guy. All strikes will be documented by the administrative team and will expire at the end of the current season. What constitutes unsportsmanlike conduct? Conduct that is taken within Alvo World League channels, such as the AHC Twitch, the AHC YouTube, AWL Discord, independent player streams, and the official Alvo Discord. So the independent player streams for the league. Are we in Hogwarts now? Did I finally get my letter? No. So anything related to the league. So if you're streaming, right? If I'm streaming on my own channel on a night separate of a league match, and I am talking shit, I will not be held accountable and it will not affect my team. That is not unsportsmanlike conduct because it's not within the confines of the league. And it's not within the context of the league. That is my own personal stream. If it is my personal stream that is for a league match, that'll be unsportsmanlike conduct. It'll constitute. So my behavior last season, which received a warning, this season that will result in an offense. Even though the match ended the stream was still live and representative of the AWL. Therefore, that would affect my team, and I would effectively get a point deduction as a consequence of that behavior. So, that being said, anything related to AWL, any unsportsmanlike conduct will be considered, okay, and result in some sort of offense. Calling out individuals or teams in a public forum, and so listen to this clearly. Okay, calling out individuals or teams in a public forum, accusing them of actions taken during a match, using a public forum to state claims or provide evidence of said claim, avoiding proper procedure. So, in other words, if you are going into a public forum, whether it's Reddit or like if there's an AWL Reddit, there isn't one, but if there were one, if it's a Discord, which could include the main Alvo Discord, if you are going into public forum and you're making these claims and you're not using the proper procedures, even if you are using the proper procedures and you're doing this, it's still considered unsportsmanlike. But if you're blatantly avoiding proper procedures through the disputes process, this is going to be an offense. Okay, causing unrest in a public forum unrelated to matches. So, but within AWL channels or game title related channels, Alvo Discord or YouTube comments section. So, in other words, if you are creating issues in anything related to the AWL or the title of Alvo, then this would constitute unsportsmanlike. We are representative of the game, we are representative of the league, and we should not conduct ourselves in that particular way. Now, the only reason I include the Alvo Discord is because I'm also directly involved with that. And if you are acting, I don't want to say unprofessionally because this isn't a profession, but if you're acting unsportsmanlike or if you're being rude or inconsiderate within the public forum, of which is the Alvo Discord or the AWL Discord, this can constitute as unsportsmanlike conduct. So please keep that in mind. Oh, God. I'm reading comments now. Oh, God. Oh, God. And here's the thing. Here's to make things even more awkward for you guys. I don't like Harry Potter, and I haven't watched any of the movies or read any of the books. I tried, though. All right. So, prizes and awards. Winners of the finals will receive monetary reward based with a base value equal to that of the total enrollment fees gathered. So, very much the same as last season. Other tangible rewards may be presented. I know that season one's rewards still haven't been sent out, but I did say I will get them out, and you will get them eventually. Don't worry. I spent hundreds of dollars on this stuff. I want you guys to have it. Okay? I want you to have it. I don't want to keep it here, but I want to send it out with one shipping cost per person. It's going to cost me probably close to another $500 to ship it out to everybody. So please be patient with me. I'm demoted. Damn it. Other new sections. So we're at the end here. Important roles. Primary organizer of the AWLs, myself. If immediate at the Wolf Craze, if immediate contact with any other chief with at the Wolf Craze, if immediate contact with any other chief cannot be made. Sorry, I needed to read what I wrote, and like my brain stopped working for a moment. Did you guys see? I had the loading circle on my head. This is a section that might change or will change. Okay. Why did I select that? Okay. Chiefs at present are Neilmac or Nizmac. Okay. Captain Caveman and myself. More to be added. And we'll see if these two want to stick around. We'll see. But as of right now, these are the three chiefs. Moderators will include Nizmac, Captain Caveman, myself, Plank. Why does it say Twitch? Will. And the reason being is because we're part of, well, Plank isn't really part of AHC, but he is. Like he's been on enough that he is like AHC. Titch, O'Doyle, myself, and Plank we're like AHC, right? So, and Titch has helped me with like a number of things. But if any moderator should besmirch their duties, I will remove them. That is no problem. You're in it for the long haul? Wonderful. So if I feel there are other people who are like any chief, anyone that comes on to be chief will also become a moderator. Anyone that is in an administrative role or part of league organization, which can include broadcasting, they can become a moderator. But this list might increase. So just keep that in mind, right? And if you don't have access to any of the important links, which you should, given that you're in the AWL Discord, they are here. So if you're sharing this with someone who is not part of any kind of social platform, if you give them this, they can type in this, or they can also, that these are hyperlinks. You can use these to access these. So anyone who is going to be part of your team needs the gamingsynergy.co.uk link. They have to have it. They have to be on Gaming Synergy. Okay. If they don't want to be in the AWL Discord, that's okay, as long as they're not a captain or lieutenant. A captain or lieutenant must be. And if they want to watch the streams live, they can watch from Age Commentary. Okay. That is it. We got through all the rules in like 2 hours. 1.5. Is everybody okay with the changes? Hey, Rich. Did I add enough from the suggestions or complaints from last season? I feel I did. Most of this is concrete. Most of this is not going to change. If someone can give me proper reason to change something, I will. But you have to convince me otherwise. Because I've played in enough seasons and I've seen enough rules that I've been trying to be as fair as possible. You've missed about half? Well, maybe you should be demoted. Anyway, for all those, let's see. Let's go back to our main scene here. For all those who missed this, or I know this is midday, so it wasn't, some people were not available to watch, right? They didn't, they were at work or something, right? If you weren't able to watch, or they weren't able to watch, this is going to be up on our YouTube channel. This is going to stay up on our Twitch channel for a while. Okay. I don't typically save these on Twitch. I don't highlight them because, well, they might become antiquated given if there are any rule changes. So I don't want there to be any confusion. So I let them stay up for their predetermined amount of time, and then they go away. But for anyone who did not get a chance to see this, make sure you share this with your team. Everybody on your team must watch this, or at least review the rules, which will be posted soon once I open up all the channels. Okay. I plan on doing that this week. And if anyone has any questions or you need further clarification on anything, then please send them my way. But hopefully the rules are clear enough. Titch, you came in way too late. Now is not a time for a question. We're ending stream. Hopefully you're good over there in BC. I'll do that for free for you, buddy. Anyway, that's it for now. I am going to I'm going to end this this stream. Again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. I don't know how many people ended up showing. I know it was midday, so for some it was probably difficult. But I also wanted to accommodate some people over in Europe and Australia who it might be pretty late for, at least deep into the afternoon. I will see you guys later. Be sure to join the Discord. And Witch Kisses, I will make sure that it will be in the Discord. So once you get that, if you want, I can send you a Word document so that you can directly translate each line. If you don't want that, and if you want just images to refer to, we can do that too. But if you want if you actually want a Word document, DM me in Discord, okay? Uh, but it won't be that one because that one's modifiable, so you guys can't have that one. um, so yeah, DM me if you want a copy to translate or something like that. But that's it for now. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys later. And be sure to tune in for the last few search and destroy rounds that are taking place for this tournament. All right. Be sure to stick around and tune in. If you haven't followed here, follow, hit that heart notification bell thing, and check out the panels. If you guys are interested in a ProTube VR, we have discounts. I'm looking to see if I can get a sponsor, guys. If I can get this season sponsored by ProTube VR, that'd be great. That means people on the winning team might be able to get something. I don't know. We'll see, but I'll keep working on that. See you guys next time. Peace.